Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranita 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 Jaya Gauranita Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Netai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Netai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pairajikacharya Ashtotasudha Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada King ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada King Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pairajikacharya Ashtotasudha Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Thakur Srila Prabhupada King Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda King Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur King प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की व्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगामयी यमुनामयी की भक्तिदेव तुलसी महारानी की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की युगधर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna. So we are discussing from Canto 4, chapter 28, verse 34. Chapter entitled Puranjan becomes a woman in the next life. Hitva grihan sutan bhoga Vaidarbhi madirekshana Anvadavata pandyesham Jyosneva rajanikaram Hitva grihan sutan bhoga Vaidarbhi madirekshana Anvadavata pandyesham Josneva rajanikaram Hitva grihan sutan bhoga Vaidarbhi madirekshana Anvadavata pandyesham ज्योत्स्नेवा रजनीकरम् हित्वा गृहान् सुतान् भोगान् Mataji's. Hitva, giving up. Grihan, home. Sutan, children. Bhogan, material happiness. Vaidarbi, the daughter of King Vidarbha. Madirekshana, with enchanting eyes. Anvadhavata, followed. Pandesham, King Malayadvaja. Josna Iva, like the moonshine. Rajani Karam, the moon. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. Just as the moonshine follows the moon at night, immediately after King Malayadwaja departed for Kulachalam, his devoted wife, whose eyes were very enchanting, followed him, giving up all homely happiness despite family and children. Purport. Just as in the Vanaprastha stage, the wife follows the husband, similarly, when the spiritual master retires for Nirjan Bhajan, some of his advanced devotees follow him and engage in his personal service. In other words, those who are very fond of family life should come forward in the service of spiritual master and abandon so-called happiness afforded by the society, friendship and love. A verse by Vishwanath Thakur in his Guruvastaka is significant in this regard. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadaham. A disciple should always remember that by serving his spiritual master, he can easily advance in Krishna consciousness. All the scriptures recommend that it is by pleasing spiritual master and serving him directly that one can attain the highest perfectional stage of devotional service. The word Madirekshana is also significant in this regard, in this verse. Shajiva Goswami has explained in his Sandarbha that word Madira means intoxicating. If one's eyes become intoxicated upon seeing the deity, he may be called Madirekshana. Queen Vaidarbhi's eyes were very enchanting, just as one's eyes are Madirekshana when engaged in seeing the temple deity. Unless one is an advanced devotee, he cannot fix his eyes on the deity in the temple. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakayam Chakshuhu Unmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishadvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशत नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to today's Bhagavatam class, and I seek the blessings of all the devotees to speak something for the glorification of the Lord. So here in this chapter we find Puranjan has already become woman in his next life because of thinking about his wife during his last minute during death. So he was awarded or punished, whatever, the body of a woman in next life. Fortunately, he happened to be the wife of great devotee king Malayadhwaj. Yes. And because he was happened to be a great devotee of Lord, so following in his footsteps, she also is practicing devotional service. And when he retired from his active kingship rule and took Vanaprastha stage, so she also, as an ideal chaste wife, she also followed him in his footsteps, and along with him, she also entered to the forest. Just like Nardamani gives the analogy, just like a moonshine follows the moon at night. So immediately Malayadhwaja, when he departed for Kulachal, wife also, Vaidarbi also followed him. So we find this is Vedic scripture, this is Vedic culture, that Srimad Bhagavatam gives vision about Vedic culture, that how when um, whatever standards husband follow, though wife also follows in his footsteps. Just like we find in the example of Ramayana, that when Lord Ram was banished to go to forest for 14 years, isn't it? It is only Lord Ram who was banished for 14 years. It's not Mother Sita. Yes. And so Lord Ram came to Mother Sita's quarters to inform that like this I was asked to go to forest for 14 years, but it is only me. It's not you. So you can stay back here, and then I will go to forest and just it is a matter of few moments that I'll come back. The 14 years will pass like few moments. I'll come back. So you can stay here. Mother Sita could not accept that fact that she has to be in separation from Lord Ram for 14 years. So she immediately proposed that, no, I am also coming with you. So Lord Ram told her, you have never been to forest. You are born and brought up in the palace of King Janaka. So you cannot tolerate living in the forest without any facilities, without any luxuries. So stay here. But Mother Sita was very much adamant. So no, wherever you are, that is Ayodhya for me. And the forest will be Ayodhya if I am with you. And Ayodhya will be like forest if you are not with me. And Lord Rama was trying to persuade his best to convince Sita to stay back. But Sita did not agree. So finally, Lord Rama agreed. That Sita was brought up in so much of luxury that she does not know what is forest. The Lord, as soon as they reached the outskirts of Ayodhya, Sita asked Lord Ram, is this forest? And after few meters, again she asks, is this forest? Is it forest? That goes to, that gives a vision that Sita is not knowing what is forest also, how forest looks like also. But she agreed to go to along with Lord Ram to the forest because following in the footsteps of husband. So chaste, the one of the important qualities of chastity is to share the ups and downs, happiness and sorrows of the husband. Yes, that we find. And same thing we find with Gandhari also. When Dhritarashtra, when the proposal came for Gandhari to marry Dhritarashtra, Dhritarashtra was blind. So Gandhari thought, how can I have something which my husband cannot have? So she blindfolded her eyes so that I will not feel myself superior to my husband. And throughout her life, she never opened that blindfold, except once to in order to empower Duryodhan. But other than that, she served Dhritarashtra with her blindfold eyes. That is the power of chastity. And because of that power, she could get power to curse even Lord Krishna or no, even empower Duryodhana's body. That is the power of chastity in Vedic culture. Yes. And similarly, we find one more pastime comes in, one more story comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, ninth canto, where there is one king called as Saryata. So he happens to go to forest along with his soldiers, along with his daughter Sukanya. And Sukanya, along with her friends, while she was playing, she comes to an ant hill, and she finds some two sparkling light is coming through the holes of the ant hill. So she takes one grass and then pierces. And as soon as she pierced, what happened? The blood started coming from the eyes, from that hole. And she thought, I did some mistake. And immediately all the soldiers who were there, including king, they get constipation problem. So immediately then they come to know that somebody committed some mistake here. And then eventually when they found out that actually it's not just two bright lights, actually they are the eyes of Chevana Muni, who was doing tapasya in that ant hill. And then immediately king comes and asks forgiveness and tell me how can I repent? How can I repent? And then Chevana Muni just gives an indication. He asks the king, is your daughter married? That's it he asks. And Shivanamuni the king gets the understanding that yes. So immediately he agrees, he convinces Sukanya to get married to Shivana Rishi, and then he goes back. And whole life, Sukanya, who is coming from a palace, she has to serve now, staying in the forest with sage who is blind. She agrees. And that is chastity. So in Vedic culture, it is very much emphasized from the beginning itself that the boys are trained in brahmacharya and girls are trained in chastity. And because of that, the Vedic culture produced so many powerful men and powerful women dedicated for uplifting society and spirituality of the people. But unfortunately, nowadays, what happens? The boys and girls are taught to become loose in the name of co-education, in the name of free mixing, in the name of woman liberation. So many attractive terminologies have come just to spoil the purity and potency of both boys and girls. That is the most unfortunate situation nowadays. So in 1940s and 1950s, when the cigarette company in America, when they wanted to, they found that we are producing a lot of cigarettes, but only 50% of the population is being uh, is targeted. Remaining 50%, who are they? Women. They are not smoking any cigarettes. So we want to target them also. And what did they do? They came up with so-called perverted intellectual idea that how to convince women to smoke cigarettes. So for them, they started making special cigarette, which is very, very thin. And they called the top Hollywood actresses to for the advertisements, for the marketing. That they are smoking. Their photos are put in the big, big billboards all over the country. And what did they put? They put this. They call this cigarette as light the torch of freedom. The cigarette they call it as torch of freedom. So how perverted intelligence it is, unfortunately. And women, they are so gullible, they are so innocent. They thought, okay, if I smoke this cigarette, I am lighting the torch of freedom. And immediately, within few years, lakhs and lakhs of women become addicted to this cigarette. And only after, after 2 decades, they researched and they found out that this torch of freedom is not freedom, but is causing so many diseases for the woman, especially breast cancer and pregnancy problems. All these problems are faced by the woman. So, how degraded the intelligence can become in order to pollute the people's minds. And needless to say, woman liberation, all such things come up. And Prabhupada was very much against it. If you read Prabhupada Lilamurti, especially volume 5, so Prabhupada was again and again against this concept of woman liberation. And so many women reporters used to come and argue with Prabhupada. How come you can speak about against woman liberation? And Prabhupada told, women cannot do so many things as men can do. Prabhupada gives a simple example that when there is a fire in the building, the firemen can go and fight directly. But women can go and attack the fire and do firefighting? They cannot do it. So nature has made man for certain purposes and woman for certain purposes. Let us accept it and live accordingly, peacefully. Why you want to artificially dominate and become equal to men? The woman's nature, woman can become pregnant. Men cannot become pregnant. So men are not fighting for the freedom. I also want to become pregnant. So it's woman nature. Woman's nature to become pregnant. So they can take care of children nice. They can produce children, take care of children. That is the gift given by the nature to the woman. Why you want to artificially become equal to men? Like that. But they are not convinced, unfortunately. But this is what it is. Artificial domination. So Vedic culture was very much teaches that men have certain duties, women have certain duties. Let them perform their duties nicely with Krishna in center, and both can become happy and peaceful. Isn't it? In fact, Vedic culture offers more respect to women than what modern culture is offering. Isn't it? The whole Ramayana war was fought. In fact, the two most greatest battles were fought for protecting women. Isn't it? We find in Ramayana, the whole battle was fought to protect Mother Sita. And the whole Mahabharata war was fought to protect Draupadi, in order to take revenge for Draupadi's humiliation. That is Vedic culture. Vedic culture offers more respect to women than what modern culture offers. But people don't understand this. Modern people, because their intelligence is so perverted, they don't have any intelligence to understand these things. So they somehow or other want to exploit women. Because Vedic culture doesn't allow women to come out and mix freely with men and lose their chastity. Then how to bring them out? Then they come up with this concept called as woman liberation. Liberate woman. Liberate woman from where? From the chastity. Just like I saw one photo, the tortoise protection comes from its shell, isn't it? As soon as it sees any animals, so what it does, so it takes all the senses inside. And when tiger or lion comes and smells, it only can smell the shell. It thinks it's just a stone and goes back. Just imagine if the shell is not there. The tortoise thinks this is too much burden. I want liberation. So I will remove the shell. Then what happens? The tiger and lion comes and easily attacks and eats it. So for woman, the shell is the chastity. But woman thinks this chastity is a burden for me. I want to remove it. So then she becomes attacked for the tiger and wolf-like men. She becomes target for that. Unfortunately. But this, they don't understand. So they come up with this concept called woman liberation. Liberate woman from this entanglement, from this age-old superstitious belief. Yes. And in that name, so they encouraged women to come out. Women cannot understand what is happening. So they also fought, we want liberation, we want liberation. And they came out of their protection shield. And what is happening now? Women are just exploited like anything. At all ages, they are exploited, unfortunately. And women are so ignorant that they cannot even understand what is happening. How much exploitation is being done with them, they are not able to understand. Still, they are thinking, we want liberation, we are liberated. So Prabhupada gives the same argument to the reporters who came to meet him. That Prabhupada tells, men and women meet because of free mixing, and men make the woman pregnant, and he goes away. And now who will take care of that woman and the child? The whole burden falls on the government. So is this freedom? Is this liberation? You call it as? Reporters have no answer, unfortunately. Yes. So that is Vedic culture. That is the glory of our Vedic culture. To teach men and women to remain in their respective positions and still contribute a lot to society. Yes. That is the greatness of Vedic culture. Unlike Western culture, which tells everybody is equal. I saw one more advertisement where there is a running marathon for women liberation. Running marathon for women liberation. Women equality. That is a caption. Running marathon for women equality. And the side they kept, men will run for 10 kilometers, women will run for 5 kilometers. This equality. So, this is not taught in schools and colleges, in education institutions, unfortunately. So, this education has to be imparted from childhood, at least when they come to adolescent stage. So, then any culture can produce very strong and very chaste women. Yes, otherwise, because of free mixing, both are polluted. If the boy associates with so many girls before marriage only, how can he expect chaste girl to become his wife? How can he expect chaste girl to become his wife? So whatever wife is going to bed, she also will be contaminated by somebody else. But unlike Western culture, we find in Vedic culture, so much protection offered to women. So much protection offered to women. So till their marriage, they are protected by the father, with their parents, and after marriage, they are protected by husband, and after husband passes away, she is protected by the son. Yes. So that is one thing we find, that Anvadhavat followed exactly. And Prabhupada takes this principle and applies to the relationship between guru and disciple. Just like chaste wife follows husband very sincerely, very faithfully, so similarly, the disciple also should follow guru's instructions very faithfully. By which what happens? When spiritual master is pleased by disciples following instructions faithfully, so then when spiritual master is pleased, Krishna is pleased. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasad. And the perfection of life is achieved by that disciple. Yes. And we find so many stories throughout Srimad Bhagavatam that how a disciple followed the spiritual master very sincerely and faithfully, and how he achieved success. Yes. In fact, the Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the glorification of Sutta Goswami. And how the sages of Naimisharanya glorify Sutta Goswami. What is glorified for? Bruyahas snigdasya sishyasya guravo guhyam apyuta. Because Sutta Goswami followed his spiritual master very sincerely and submissively. His spiritual masters revealed all their secrets to him. All the secrets of spiritual life. It has been revealed by the gurus to Sutta Goswami. And after a few chapters, we find Narada boy story. The Narada boy got all the blessings of Bhaktivedantis because he was serving the Bhaktivedantis very faithfully, very sincerely. Sushusho, Dante, Adruta Kridanake, Anuvartini. So he has controlled his mind and senses, and with his controlled mind and senses, he very submissively followed the instructions, submissively heard from the Bhaktivedantas and followed their instructions. And because of which we find he could accept, he could tolerate the greatest shock of his life. That is his mother passing away. From where he could get the strength? Mother was the only shelter for him. But when mother passed away, he immediately thought it is a great fortune, not misfortune. So how that transformation of consciousness came? Because of sincerely hearing, submissively hearing, and sincerely following the instructions of Bhaktivedantas. Yes. So we find again and again this story is coming in the Srimad Bhagavatam, these pastimes, that how a disciple very sincerely, submissively serves spiritual master and get the blessings. Prabhupada writes in the purport of first canto, first chapter, the secret of success is in pleasing the spiritual master and getting his sincere blessings. The secret of success of spiritual life is in pleasing the spiritual master and getting his sincere blessings. And in fifth chapter of first canto, Prabhupada writes, unless a disciple is disciplined, obedient, and sense-controlled, he cannot follow the instruction of spiritual master. And without following the instruction of spiritual master, he cannot go back home, back to God. So these three qualities Prabhupada mentions: discipline, obedience, and sense-control. So disciple means disciplined. Saturday class is Gauranga was telling. So disciple means disciplined. So he should agree to be disciplined by the spiritual master. Yes. And obedient to spiritual master, follows spiritual master's instructions. And for obedience, we need very much sense control, mind and senses control. Without mind and sense control, it's very difficult to be obedient. Yes, the Prabhupada mentions these three wonderful qualities. And we find same thing with while Devahuti serving Kardam Muni. Again, Devahuti was a princess. She is daughter of Swayambhu Manu. And Swayambhu Manu Shatarupa, they come, they offer Devahuti to marriage in Kardam Muni. And then they go back. And she has to live. And there is no palace, there is no facility, there is no luxury. And she has to live in a hut with Kardam Muni. That's it. And what Kardam Muni used to do, whole day used to do meditation, used to do chanting, and hardly takes prasad. And the duty of chaste wife is, she takes prasad after the husband takes. So because husband rarely took prasad, so she also did not take prasad. And Bhagavatam, that section mentions how she became very thin. And she became, her whole body became emaciated in the service of Kardam Muni. But she did not mind. That verse comes, Vishrambena, Atma Sauchena, Dhamena, Shamena Cha. Very nice verse it is. Same thing. And what is the result of that? So Kardam Muni, whatever perfections he achieved because of his austerity, he gave all that perfections to his wife, Devahuti. So just by assisting the spiritual master in his service to his spiritual master, so the disciple automatically gets all the blessings, all the perfections by the spiritual master. Yes. And we find so many examples throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. Bali Maharaj, the demons, when the demigods, here demigods, they offended a great sage. Is that Brihaspati? And then here demons, they please Shukracharya. And because of which they get extra power, extra mercy. Although it is material, it's not spiritual power, it's material power. Still, but the material level also, we're serving spiritual master like Shukracharya. They get extra blessings, extra power, extra strength, by which they could go and defeat demigods. Then even the war did not happen. Just by seeing the power and the effulgence of demons, demigods ran away. They understood. They were blessed by the spiritual master. They just ran away. So on one hand, we find demigods, devatas. They offended the great sage Brihaspati, and they lost all the mercy, all the power. But on the other hand, we find demons. They pleased the spiritual master, and they got all the blessings. Yes. So this principle is something universal. We find throughout scriptures that how by serving and pleasing spiritual master, yes, he gets all the blessings. We find Chaitanya Charitamrita where Madhavendra Puri had two disciples, Ishwara Puri and Ramachandra Puri. So when Madhavendra Puri was in old age, of course he had a lot of disciples, but this prominent among these prominent disciples. So Ishwara Puri, when Madhavendra Puri was in old age, so he could not move his body. He was lying on the bed. And on the bed only he was doing all his attending nature call. And Ishwar Puri very faithfully, very sincerely, he was serving. Cleaning the bed, cleaning Madhavendra Puri's body, washing his clothes, attending to all his bodily needs. Along with reading and reminding him of Krishna, reading some pastimes for Krishna, about Krishna to him, throughout his old age. And being pleased with that, so Madhavendra Puri blessed him that may you attain Krishna Prema. Other hand, we find Ramachandra Puri. So he offended. He dared to instruct Madhavendra Puri that why you are meditating upon Krishna, Krishna, meditate on Brahman. And Madhavendra Puri cursed him. He lost all his mercy. So quite contrast we find, where one by serving, how he got mercy, and by offending, by not following, how he lost mercy, Ramachandra Puri. And we find Ramachandra Puri, he become the reservoir of all fault findings. He comes to Jagannath Puri and he found faults with every devotee practically for that matter. He found faults. Although the faults were not there, still he used to search and fault find and criticize them. And it ended up finding faults with Lord Chaitanya himself. He lost all the mercy. Yes, so this is another indication that offense to great souls leads to fault finding tendency. Increase in fault finding tendency. So this principle is universal. Prabhupada mentions here, all the scriptures recommend that it is by pleasing spiritual master and serving him directly that one can attain the highest perfectional stage of devotional service. S.A. Prasad Bhagavad Prasadi quotes. And then in last paragraph, Prabhupada quotes about the importance of deities, the taking darshan of the deities. And Prabhupada quotes Jiva Goswami that in Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami explains that Madira means intoxicating. As if one's eyes become intoxicated by taking darshan of the deities. So the deities are one of the most merciful manifestations of Lord for helping the jivas. Yes. So just because we cannot see Krishna with our material eyes, na bhavyet grahyam indriyaihi. We cannot see Krishna, we cannot perceive Krishna through our material senses. So Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, he takes form made of matter so that we can access him, we can take his darshan, we can serve him, we can make that deity center of our life. So deity is one of the most merciful manifestations of Krishna. Yes. So we have our scriptures tell there are 5 manifestations of Krishna. First is Swayam Bhagavan, second is Chaturvyuha, third is Vilasa Rupa, fourth is Paramatma, and fifth is Shri Vigraha. So we can't access first 4 forms. Swayam Bhagavan is someone Golok Vrindavan, and Chaturvyuha is there in Vaikuntha. By avatars they come and go. Paramatma is in the heart, but how much we can access Paramatma in the heart? But deities are most accessible to us. And by doing deity worship, we get the benefit of worshipping all other 4 forms also. Yes. That's why all the acharyas of all sampradayas, they put extra importance, extra stress for deity worship. Whether you take Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya, or in our Sampradaya Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and down the line Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Prabhupada. So all of them put so much of emphasis on deity worship. Although the Yoga Dharma for this age is Harinam Sankirtan, but for doing Harinam Sankirtan we need a clean mind, clear consciousness, which is possible to attain only by doing deity worship. So Pancharatrika Vidhi, Bhagavata Vidhi, both go together. So both are important. Yes. The only Bhagavata Vidhi without Pancharatrika Vidhi, because we are not so pure, our mind is so contaminated, so we cannot focus on holy name. We cannot focus on Srimad Bhagavata. We need some physical engagement. And Panchatratika Vidhi offers that kind of engagement. Yes. And only Panchatratika Vidhi without Bhagavata Vidhi, it also is difficult. Because if you don't hear about the glories of whom we are worshipping, then we start treating that deity as mere statue. And eventually we start blaming spiritual master that why he has left me such a great burden. So that's what happens if only deity worship is taken care without Shravan, without Bhagavat Shravan or Harinam Sankirtan, then the deities becomes burden for us. So both has to go parallelly. So deity worship is one of the very, very important principles of our spiritual life. That in fact, when Rupa Goswami mentions in Nectar of Devotion, out of 64 principles, many principles are about not centered around deity worship, references to deities. So that much important role deities play in our life. And we need to cultivate habit of taking darshan of deities, offering prayers to deities, all these things. And the pujaris, the deity department, they should take care of high standard worship of deities. So if you find Chaitanya Charitamrita where Raghav Pandit, no, he used to bring very high quality coconuts for offering to his deities. And once what happens is the pujari who is supposed to offer coconuts to the deities, he touches the ceiling and touches the coconut. Although ceiling itself is very clean, but he touches the ceiling without washing the hands, he touching the coconuts. And Raghav Pandit sees and chastises him. No, these coconuts are contaminated. Throw them away. And then he sends servants to go all the way, which is very far, to bring the new coconuts, fresh coconuts, to be offered to the deities. So that much high pure standards Raghav Pandit maintained for worshipping of the deities. Yes. And down the line we find Bhaktivedanta Thakur also. He installed the deities, all those 64 mutts, and established high standards of deity worship. And Srila Prabhupada, needless to say, he travelled all across 6 continents, and wherever he established temples, he established deity worship. And taught the devotees, told the disciples that maintain as high standards as possible for deity worship, without compromising. And wherever he found compromise, he instructed them that this is not the standard, we should try. So once Prabhupada went to one temple, and then they offered him, the devotees offered him the deities Mahaprasad. And Prabhupada ate and told this is dog food. It's fit for dogs. And after some time they cooked again. And then again they gave to Prabhupada. This is a hog food. And again after some time they cooked again and then they gave to Prabhupada. It was the horse food. And then Prabhupada personally went to the kitchen and he taught them cook. He cooked himself. Within 1 hour Prabhupada cooked for 6-7 items. And then gave it to the devotees. Yes, when Prabhupada went to Australia, so the temple president there was anti-sugar. He doesn't like sugar. So because he does not like sugar, he not offer sugar deities also. And the complaint went to Prabhupada. When Prabhupada came to Australia there, so Prabhupada was meeting with president and vice president, and then Prabhupada called his servant. So now it is lunch time. Get me prasad. So what do you want for prasad? Lunch prasad, puri and sugar. And Prabhupada, the servant brought a plate full of puris and one bowl full of sugar, and Prabhupada dipped puri into the sugar and told, Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings in, what is that? Bogharati. Luchi chini sharpuri laddu rasavoli. So in Goloka Vrindavan, the Yashoda Mai, the Radharani, they cook with sugar. So how come you reject puris, sugar? So from today, start offering sugar to deities. So Prabhupada, wherever he found there is a mistake in deity worship, Prabhupada corrected. In one temple, Prabhupada went and saw that so he called the devotees, asked, Krishna is appearing so tired, exhausted, what happened? And the devotees told Prabhupada, because a lot of people are coming, so we extended darshan extra time. Oh, that's why Prabhupada told, Krishna is looking tired. So close the darshan on time, the Prabhupada told. On the other hand, once one other temple Prabhupada went, Prabhupada told that Krishna needs that resting stick for resting his hand, to keep that stick there. So Prabhupada is very, very particular in taking care of the deities. High standards of punctuality and cleanliness, Prabhupada expected very much. Because Prabhupada, for pure devotees, they are not just dolls or statues standing there. For them, the directly Radha Krishna standing. And they communicate with each other. For them, Radha Krishna standing each other. For us, we may have to, no, what do you call it? We may have to convince our intelligence, oh, they are not actually the stones, they are actually Krishna. Pran Pratishtha happened, all these things happen. But for the pure devotees, they are directly Radha Krishna standing. Yes. So again and again we have to take darshan of the deities, and when you deal with the deities respectfully, carefully, and serve them very properly, very meticulously, then our consciousness also gets elevated. And where we can come to that level to see the deity as good as Krishna standing in front of us. Yes. And when we take darshan of the deities, our eyes also become intoxicated. Yes. So much so that when we close our eyes, we should remember our favorite deity's darshan. Yes, that's why in Tulsi Arti we sing every day. Nayane Haribo Sada Yugala Ruparashi. Isn't it? So before coming to Krishna consciousness, if we close our eyes, we remember our favorite heroes, heroines, all such stuff. And people know in their homes they put big, big posters of their favorite sports stars, heroes, heroines, and worship them. Foolish people build temples also for their heroines, isn't it? But so we should be the same, we should engage same tendency for doing for Krishna. Where our rooms, our homes should be filled with big, big, beautiful posters of our favorite deities. And take regular darshan of them. So much regular darshan that when we close our eyes anytime, the darshan of the favorite deities should come in front of our eyes. Yes. That's very much helpful when you are on the deathbed. So if you close your eyes and if you remember our favorite actor, actress, we end up becoming that. If you remember our pet dogs, cat or dog, we end up becoming that. So not to avoid that, so we have to train our consciousness to remember the deity's darshan. Yes. That's why Madirekshana, that intoxicated, the eyes are intoxicated with the taking the darshan of the deities. Yes. So, to summarize, we discussed how in Vedic culture women are highly respected, and by separating men and women, the Vedic culture produced so many strong men and very chaste women, isn't it? And we find how Mother Sita followed Lord Ram, how Gandhari followed Dhritarashtra, how Sukanya followed her husband Chavan Rishi, all these things. So, and we also discussed how Western culture, in the name of liberating women, is spoiled the chastity and the purity of the woman and also men. And next we discussed about the qualities of the disciple required to serve and please spiritual master, and the advantages and the benefits of serving such a great spiritual master. We discussed many examples: Sutta Goswami, Narada Bhai, Devahuti, or Madhavendra Puri, and Ishwar Puri, how we served Madhavendra Puri, that we discussed. And finally we discussed about the importance of deity's darshan. The deity pujari should take care of the high standards of deity worship, and we normal devotees, we regularly appreciate and take darshan of the deities for our own consciousness. I mean, Pancharatri Vidhi, Bhagavata Vidhi, both are important. And Pancharatri Vidhi forms very great, uh, plays a very great role in our Krishna consciousness. And how great acharyas, they emphasized the establishment of big temples and high standards of deity worship. Yes, in fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's one of the instructions to six Goswamis is establish temples and establish high standards of deity worship in Vrindavan. Okay, I stop here. Puji, anything you want to add? Any comments?
Thank you for your, systematic presentation of the purport. One of the thing that I was thinking about in your presentation was that when the women in the society they're trying to compete with men and they're designing, probably pushing the men so much to create various forms, various forums to make them equal to men or overtake the men or whatever. I was feeling that this tendency is created in women by the men. Not women are not the cause for this, because women by nature, they're very simple minded and they want to serve a qualified man. When the qualified men are not there, unqualified men torture the women. This tendency props up in women. So, if at all we need to blame someone, it's not the women actually, the men have to be blamed for trying to torture the women, trying to exploit the women, instead of respecting the women and giving them their honorary position, like that of a mother. So, failing which, this situation is created. So, if actually all of this can be easily dealt with if a proper respect is offered to women and they are taken care, such desires only won't come up. This is what I was feeling, that the unscrupulous men are the reason for this kind of all this liberation, women liberation, and all this. This just I want to offer this comment. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Praj, I do agree because of the men's desire to exploit women. So they come up with different plans and different ideas to exploit the woman in that way. Thank you. हरे कृष्ण श्रीमद् भागवतम की शील प्रभुपाद की समस्त गौरव भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंद